I'm Marv Clyncke from Boulder, Colorado. Along with my wife Judy, we're longtime senior members of the Pope and Young Club. I was on the board of directors in the 1980s, and so that's what we're going to talk about is the 1980s now. In the early 1980s, we saw a big increase in the number of white-tailed deer all over the east, all over the Midwest, and all over the South. And consequently, that led to more guys bow hunting them. There was a big increase in hunters then, but also bow hunters started taking up more because they had more animals to hunt. And I think that was a big plus for the club, because we started seeing a vast amount of white-tailed deer being entered into the Pope and Young Club records. The other thing that happened is the game and fish departments in the West and the Southwest were doing a great job on our animals out here. So we saw a big increase in the number of elk, the mule deer, quite a big increase in the sheep and the goats now, which gave more animals for the bow hunters to pursue. The other thing that helped a lot was the fact that before the 1980s, you saw only people that were older, up in the 50s and the 60s, that had saved all their life to go on hunts in the West and out of state and in Canada and Alaska. Well, with the 1980s, we saw the high-tech world come on to us really strong. These young people could get out of high school and go to college, and come out of college and get into the high-tech sector and make great amounts of money. It was just unbelievable how much money there was involved in that. And so they were able to have a lot more expendable money and go on hunts in Alaska, Canada, and all over the West if they were from back in the East or the South, or the South. So you saw a great increase in the number of animals being entered into the club from the West and Canada and Alaska. Because of this, there was a lot of increase in the number of the members to the Pope and Young Club, and the entries were really going crazy, but the expenses were going crazy too. Whenever you have that type of a thing, you're going to have a lot more expenses to run a club. The entries give us some money into the club. The memberships give us some money in the club, but they didn't keep pace with it. We came out with a magazine instead of just a regular old newsletter, and a full-color magazine. It's beautiful. And that type of thing costs a lot of money. So we had to come up with ways to make more money, and we were having a difficult time with that. Well, Judy and I had been doing auctions here with Ducks Unlimited and Trout Unlimited, and we saw the potential there, so we took that to the board, and we had quite a bit of a negative response to that. But we convinced them finally that we should have an auction. Well, you got to remember that these guys were like Fred Bear and Glenn St. Charles and Harv Ebers, Jim Doherty, and these guys had high quality stuff that everybody wanted. So we got each one of them to give us an item, and in that auction, which ran about an hour, we raised $18,000. And that was enough to convince the board that, hey, we got to start doing that and keep doing it. So now you see those auctions raising millions of dollars, and we were able to start new conservation programs because we had the extra money to do that. We were able to fund studies of animals and studies of archery and that type of a thing. You also saw the really big influx of high-tech equipment. So that caused some problems because we could see it down the road that there was going to be a problem with the high-tech equipment. Pretty soon you were going to have the equipment doing the work, and the hunter didn't have to do nothing. So the club did some restrictions on equipment, and of course that's always been a controversial thing. But then we brought it up to where we could really have the club running strong on finances and that. And I think it was increased the number of books that we were going to have to put out. Now they had to do one book on just the whitetails alone. There were so many entries. Well, then we started seeing a little drop off in the number of mule deer in all over the West. There was a die-off, and we started seeing quite a bit less mule deer. But the elk numbers were going crazy. And of course, everybody that shoots a bow wants to kill an elk. And so the number of people that were coming into the states out here to hunt elk, all over Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Montana, all of those states saw a huge increase in the out-of-state people coming in to hunt elk, which was good. And we saw a lot of increase in the entries there too. The number of world records just kept going crazy. We would see so many world records at each one of the conventions because the size of the animals that were being taken were just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So we saw a very big increase in the number of world records that we have, and we still do. We still do see a few come in, but we're getting to the point where it's going to be very difficult to kill a new world record. So I think that kind of summarizes up the 80s for us, and I congratulate the club on making it 60 years, and I think we've got a great board of directors, a great bunch of people working for them, and measures all over the country to take care of these animals. So congratulations, and have a very good another 60 years.